Loki is back with Loki Season 2, Episode 1, and I think that fans should certainly be happy because Episode 1 came jam-packed with a ton of information and setup for what is to come. There is so much to get into here, so start up your temporal loom and... I'm sorry, that was really lame actually. Let's just get going. What is up everyone, and welcome back to Jones Vibes. Hit the like button if you're an MCU fan or if you're just new around here, and let's dive in. So Loki has finally returned for a Season 2 after leaving us on a massive cliffhanger at the end of Season 1. And that final episode with He Who Remains has really paved the way for a lot of the speculation that's taken place over the past, couple of years. Especially with KANG. Ever since then, we've even gotten a little bit more of KANG. We saw him in Quantum Mania, and then we saw that post-credit scene with the Council of Kangs, and we're certainly starting to see where all of this is going. Also, on the other side of things, just in case anybody forgot, we got a little bit more Thor in Love and Thunder. Do you guys remember that movie? Do you remember Thor, Love and Thunder? But clearly, the KANG Dynasty is just beginning. We know that Avengers KANG Dynasty was announced. We also have Avengers Secret Wars on the way, so things are starting to come together. I know there was a lot of confusion in the MCU with Phase 4 and now moving into Phase 5, but with Loki Season 2 returning, and after watching this first episode, it just feels to me that the MCU really is starting to come back together. The last we left Loki, he was kicked through a time door and back into the TVA, but this time he was in the past, or at least that's what I'm starting to understand, just kind of by piecing things together here. And so Season 2, Episode 1, and just my general thoughts here, this episode freaking ruled. It was cinematic in a way that definitely reminded me of the tail end of last season, but I don't know, to me it felt even bigger than that. It seems like they've now really nailed down the vision and the feel of this show. And I know it's only one episode, so I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it just felt good to be back, and maybe that was it. They kind of throw you straight in there. It's pretty hectic from the jump, and we start with Loki being chased around the TVA by Mobius and the Minutemen. But this time, he's slipping through time. This time slipping thing is so interesting, and I'm curious if it's going to become something that maybe he's able to channel now moving forward. That'd be pretty cool if Loki could just channel time jumping to the future and to the past. You mix that with all of his other powers and it would make him a force to be reckoned with. But we're introduced back to Mobius, present and past versions, and when we get to the present version, I just forgot how strong the chemistry was between these two. Some of the dialogue there was just so funny, but we also see B-15 back, which was awesome, and then we're introduced to some new players here. On the protagonist side of things, we have Ouroboros, or Obi, played by Ke-Huy Quan. And honestly, his recent, I guess you would call it a resurgent, his rise back to success has just been an amazing thing to watch. Everything Everywhere All at Once was a phenomenal movie. Seeing him win the Oscar was just it was emotional watching that speech that he gave. But now seeing him in this, he fits right in. He plays this kind of tech and repair worker working in the depths of the TVA who hasn't seen anybody for 400 years, and I'm hoping that he sticks around for a majority of this season. But then on the antagonistic side, and I found this really interesting, we had General Dox, this kind of stone cold general, and next to her we had this Minuteman X5, and they're definitely setting this guy up to be kind of a bad guy maybe for this season. Obviously we're going to have KANG, we're going to have Victor Timely, but I feel like X5 is just going to kind of be like a thorn in the side of things the entire time. But if you've kept up with some of my MCU talks, I've talked a little bit about the time loom, and we now know that it's called the temporal loom. It was nice to get some clarity there, and it's not to be confused with Fruit of the Loom, which is a clothing brand, and that really has nothing to do with this, but it has loom in the name, so it sounded the same. But this temporal loom holds the timelines together, and now with there being so many branches, it's starting to overwhelm it. And so the goal is to break Loki out of time and ground him in one place before this thing overheats and blows apart. And the jokes of what would happen if Loki and Mobius were to fail legitimately had me laughing. Owen Wilson is just so funny, dude. He's like, what would the quality of life be like with no skin? But honestly, I didn't think that they were going to pull this off. I saw this episode kind of branching off in a different direction, no pun there. And right in time, Loki pops through, hits Mobius, and they get through the doors, and everything works out just fine. And what really confused me here and got me thinking a little bit is obviously Loki sees Sylvie, And so that was a strange interaction. There's this phone ringing down the hall. He's walking towards it, but then he gets pruned from behind, and we don't see who he's pruned by. And also, Sylvie's reaction when she's like prying the elevator doors open and she sees him, she's not like, oh my gosh, Loki, there you are. She's more so like, hey, there you are. Like they're in the middle of something together. And so my theory here already is that this is going to be some big revelation down the line in this season. And the present is going to catch up to this future moment, and Loki is going to be the one that is pruning himself. I feel like that would make sense, and Sylvie and Loki are going to be on some mission to do something. Oh yeah, and we also got a post-credit scene. All my time fast-forwarding through the credits of all these shows has finally paid off. We see Sylvie in 1982 Oklahoma in a McDonald's, and it kind of seems like she just wants to stay there. And so that's present-day Sylvie right there, probably right after killing He Who Remains. Let me know what you think about that, but that seems to me like it would be her honest and raw reaction after going through everything that she just went through. She'd just be like, finally, some peace and quiet, and a number 2, hold the pickles. But the season already is heading in a crazy direction, and I think that this show definitely started off with a bang. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm so excited now just for the full season. It should be a pretty fun ride, but at this point, I will turn it over to you. What did you guys think of Loki Season 2, Episode 1? And what do you think is going to happen? Hit me up in the comments and let me know all your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're looking for more MCU content, I have a full playlist on the channel, so feel free to check that out. And then if you enjoyed this video on the low key, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. You can follow me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and be sure to subscribe. But most importantly, and above all else, keep up the good vibes, guys. Loki Season 2 has finally arrived, and it's amazing to say that the MCU is back.